Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, moni moli wanji, namaste, jambo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jen Lee, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We are coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so delighted and so very honored that you're joining us in our mission to help families grow closer through reading. Please be sure to subscribe to the show in the iHeartRadio app, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, wherever you find your podcast. Our guest today is author KB. She is here to celebrate our family vacation. Before we invite Kay into the studio, we want to let you know that this episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast is brought to you by Mr. Shipman's Kindergarten Chronicles. It's a wonderful, wonderful series that you will absolutely want to add to your family library. Dr. Terrence Shipman is an author and an educator. He's one of our favorite guests. And one of the things that makes him smile the most are the times that he thinks about his years teaching kindergarten. Each book in the Kindergarten Chronicles series celebrates the male teacher, and in particular, the black male teacher. Acknowledging the underrepresentation of black men in education, Mr. Shipman presents a positive and strong black male image that children need. Through his first series of books, Dr. Shipman's Kindergarten Chronicles, Dr. Shipman hopes to make kindergarten an exciting and anticipated adventure for students, parents, and teachers while casting an even wider net for Team Shipman. One of the neat things that I love about being associated with Dr. Terrence Shipman is all the members of Team Shipman are his past students. And now his former kindergarten students are successful businessmen and women. Some of them are educators themselves, and they're all coming together to celebrate this wonderful series. Dr. Shipman, Dr. Terrence Shipman, be sure to check out Mr. Shipman's Kindergarten Chronicles. This episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast is also brought to you by Teresa Robison. She is the author of Two Bicycles in Beijing, a beautiful book that was illustrated by Jun Yi Wu. Hey, do you love bikes and sightseeing? Then Two Bicycles in Beijing should be on the shelves of your family library. It's a fun and a heartwarming story of friendship lost and found, old and new, set in the beautiful city of Beijing on a glorious fall day. Travel to China from the comfy of your living room couch and learn a few Mandarin words on the way. This book gives families a great opportunity to learn about a different culture and get a taste of a foreign language. You and your family are just going to love Two Bicycles in Beijing by one of our favorite guests, Teresa Robison. Check it out today. It's available on Amazon. Join us right now from right outside of Austin in the great state of Texas. Our guest is here today to celebrate the first in a series of fun rhyming picture books. The name of the first book is Our Family Vacation. Please welcome to the show the author, KB. Hey, Kay, how are you?
Hi, Jed. Thank you for having me. I'm doing great.
I'm really happy that you're on Our Family Vacation. I just got back from a quick vacation with my family, with my adult daughter and her fiance and my beautiful wife. We had a beautiful time down in Puerto Rico, and just reminded me of all the wonderful vacations that we took when she was a baby.
That's very nice. I'm actually waiting to go on a vacation and get on the plane again. It's been a while, to be very honest.
It has been. The pandemic has really changed the way a lot of us live. And I think also changed the way a lot of us look at vacations. And I don't think it's necessarily been a change for the good. You know, I think that people are reluctant to travel as much as they did.
Yes. And I for us, it's we have a 2-year-old who's not vaccinated, so that's the biggest concern. We've done road trips. I mean, that's what we're kind of limited to. We don't even take the bus or train, just for the same reason. So really waiting for his vaccination to come so we can get on a plane. He's never been. He sees in the picture books, but and I have a 7-year-old who has forgotten what it's like to fly.
Yeah.
So,
You know, a 7-year-old, so your 7-year-old has lived for 2 years in lockdown. That's a big percentage of your 7-year-old's life.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is, yeah, agreed. And we moved here like 3 years ago, and I was pregnant at the time. So since we've moved here, we have not been, flying at all.
Wow.
We moved, and then a few months later, the COVID pandemic started. So it's been 3 years for most of us. My husband has gone in between, but the rest of us, yeah. 3 years. It's a long time for me. I love to travel, so it's been very hard.
Yeah. So let's talk about Our Family Vacation. Tell us about this book, please.
Sure. So as you mentioned, it's a rhyming picture book. It's inspired by the fact that I love to travel. When my oldest was younger, we used to go on a lot of trips with him. We've been to Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Mexico, a lot of places with him. And so because my little one hasn't gone, and I'm sure there are a lot of kids like him out there, and even the older kids, like I just said, right? My older one doesn't even remember. So I was inspired to write this to bring awareness to what is a vacation? What is it like to go on the plane? What are the things you can do? And so the first one, it's just a very generic story. I leave it up to the kids' imagination of where they're going. But it shows them, from when they're packing to getting on the plane to actually going to a location, what all they can do. At the end of the book, I've actually put in 10 activities for them as well. So they can do it at home or as they go. Like I have a scavenger hunt in there. So like when you go to a place, find different things specific to that location. So I made it so they can take the book along with them, for memory's sake too.
Yeah. That's a really great idea. I think as I look back when my kids, and it's been a long time, my kids now are 26 and 29. And I think back to the times when they were younger, and a lot of times you kind of get to a place and there might be that one draw, say Disney World, and you get there, but okay, other than going to the theme park, what are we going to do? Maybe go to the pool, but then what are we going to do? I think having a scavenger hunt that you can do anywhere would be a really, really fun activity and a great way to explore and find things that you probably wouldn't necessarily have seen.
Yeah, and there's like one of the things that I put in there is like find a local person and take a picture with them. So it kind of forces you to be more in tune with the area itself as well. And some of it is generic stuff, just to get them comfortable with the concept. But yeah, some of it is very specific to like places there or people there or shops there, things like that.
Yeah. And one of the things we've talked about here in the podcast, one of the things I love to do when I go someplace is to go to the local supermarket.
Oh, nice.
And just to be there, because you're there with everybody else who's there at the supermarket, lives in the area, and so you're actually seeing, you're not going to the market that was set up for Americans in Costa Rica that only has stuff that you'd find here in America. We're going to go and we're going to be with the people who live in the area, going to see what they like to buy and the kind of fruits that's available to them and the foods and different toys and maybe books. And it's a lot of fun and very, very different experience than just staying on the tourist resort.
Yeah, that's actually a great idea. You can, to your point, you can try the different local foods, and then I'm sure it helps support the local people who work on the farm or the coffee plantations and stuff like that, depending where you are. But yeah, that's awesome. That's, and actually that's interesting that you say that because this is the first book of a series that I'm writing, and the series names is called VJ and AJ's Adventures. The names are from my kids, based off my kids' names. And book one, I kept it, up to their imagination. But from here, the purpose of these books is the two main characters, the little boys, will go to different countries and learn about the different countries, about their culture, the foods, the traditions, the festivals, So it's great that you said that. So that's actually going to be the purpose of the series in totality. And so I've picked my next location that they're going to go, and kind of in the research phase of that. And the other thing I'm going to try to do in the books, it's still going to be in rhyming and nature, but going to try to show kids the commonalities that we have, right? Because we hear so much of what's going on in the world. And I think if we educate kids at a young age through books about other people, they will grow up to be adults that are appreciative of everybody. So I hope that I'm able to get those messages across. This is all based off what's going on in the world, kind of feedback out in the community that I'm hearing, and what's going on in the news, right? So diversity is a big thing, diversity and inclusion. So that will be the overarching purpose of this series. But I kept the first one just a little fun, kind of for kids that are coming out of now the pandemic and hopefully going on vacation. So hopefully they all enjoy it. So far, it's had good feedback. So hope to keep that momentum going.
You mentioned that you love to travel and that you've done a lot of traveling. Was there a particular place that was your favorite?
Australia. We love Australia. Particularly Sydney. There's so much to do there, and I'm a city person, so I like the big cities. But what was nice about Sydney is you had the city, you had the beaches, you had the mountains. I mean, it was like you can experience everything over there. So that's what I really, really liked. But we've been to a lot of places. New Zealand is beautiful. Like just the natural beauty is amazing. We've been to Tokyo, Japan for like a long weekend. Awesome. I was surprised how clean it was, and you don't even see people out there cleaning. So and I love taking the trains, so they're, access, to trains going to all the different places. But yeah, there's a lot. It's endless. There's so many places more I want to go. Yeah. And so very anxious.
How did you catch the traveling bug?
Probably through my parents. So I'm originally from New York. And we used to do a lot of road trips at first. So you brought up Disneyland. That was obviously one place we went as kids. But we went to a lot of places on the East Coast itself, Boston, Rhode Island, Connecticut. We drove up to Maine, North and South Carolina, DC. So I think that's probably where it started. And then as we got older, then we went to Europe, and then there's just so much to see, so much beauty out there. So yeah, I think from them.
Yeah. And that idea for the scavenger hunt, and also just seeing how people live differently than us, and also the things that we have in common. That's one of the beautiful things about our nation, is that it's so big and so diverse that, you can travel. You mentioned traveling to my home city of Boston and Rhode Island. Providence, Rhode Island, and Boston, they're literally 40 minutes apart, but they're completely different accents and very different cultures, and it's as if they're different countries sometimes.
Yes, and I'm in Texas, so it's a whole different place here too.
And that's its own
foods
country.
are different. I mean, music is different, and in different parts of the U.S. To your point, completely agree. Yeah, we love traveling here too. But now I'm ready. I'm ready to get out of the U.S.
I think a lot of people agree with you. I certainly do. We were just, my beautiful wife and I were just starting to explore Central America when the pandemic hit, and we had planned to visit South America, and it was like, it literally is like an itch, It's like, I need to get out. We need to get down, and we need to be with other people in different places.
Yes. I think there's a lot of us in that boat right now.
What advice would you say to the parents who are out there who, they love the idea of traveling, but they have a 2 and a 7-year-old, or maybe a 3 and an 8 or a 10-year-old, and they're like, I can't imagine getting on a plane with my kids and going to Australia unless they're somehow knocked out for the entire 27 hours will be in the air. What advice can you give to those parents who are afraid to get on a plane with their kids for a long distance?
That's a great question. That's something I'm figuring out by myself. I think probably maybe start off with small trips. Like we did local, go to the next city in town nearby. Then extend it a little bit, go to the state next to you just to get the kids comfortable. Books keep kids busy on planes, find toys that can keep them engaged. I'm not so much of a digital person, but there are people who, you have like tablets, all these things to help keep them busy. I'm personally nervous about my 2-year-old going on the plane first time, right? So my older one was pretty good on a plane, but my younger one, he's very active, and sitting down is a problem for him. So definitely probably have to find games that are very engaging. Books, I've instilled in both my kids a love for reading. So my little one, he'll go and grab a book, and that's the best way he sits for a long time, like one book after another. So yeah, those are the kind of things I would encourage. Maybe take baby steps, find the toys and books that they like to play over and over again. And hopefully that would keep them busy on the longer trips. I guess got to trust trial and error.
Yeah, excellent. Great ideas. I wonder if, I don't know how practical it would be. I wonder if you could do a scavenger hunt on a plane.
That is a good question. We should try that. Probably have to work with the air hostess and stuff and figure out. But yeah, you have to, I guess you're already close to people at this point. So, you're out of that comfort zone in terms of, with the pandemic, where some people are like us, we're still a little cautious. But yeah, maybe find some people who want to participate with you. And yeah. Did you
always dream of becoming a children's author when you were younger?
No, actually. I always loved reading. But I never thought about becoming an author. My journey started because of my older one. We've read a lot with him, and he was about 4 years old when I was reading a biography. And he wanted to listen to the story too, but because there were no pictures, he kind of was like, okay, this is boring, and he left. So that's when the idea for my first series came up, which is called Little Kids, Big Lessons. And that focuses on teaching kids important values that will help them in life, but through real life stories. So I've written about curiosity, perseverance, compassion, based on inspirational people that they've seen or have heard of. And so that's how it started. It was about a few years back in 2018 is when it started. And I really enjoy it. I've come to learn that it's something I do enjoy. And so now I started this new one, like I said, because of, the pandemic and the interest in traveling. So, I plan to continue. Wonderful. And hopefully, grow both my series.
That's really, really fun. What's been the biggest surprise for you as a children's author? What's the one thing that really kind of surprise you and in a bad way, and like, I didn't know I had to do that? And what's the thing that surprised you in a joyous way, like, wow, this is I didn't expect that it would be this much fun?
I think so for the second one, the good one, I think the feeling of just simply creating something that's out there for the world, I feel like I've left something for people whenever that day comes that I'm gone, but there's something out there that I've created that people can see. I think just that simple fact, it feels really good. The flip side is, you don't realize how much work goes into it. People think it's just writing, but there's a lot, not even just in producing the book. There's a lot that goes into it. But once it's done, then what? The marketing, the getting it out there. How do people know you, your books? I work full time too, so that adds to it. It becomes harder. As I'm sure many people also work. It's not necessarily 100% of their time. So there's a lot that goes into it. The writing, the editing, the illustrating, finding the right people to work with that you feel like you can continue to work with in the future. I've been using the same illustrator because I think she's awesome. She gets me. And I've seen stories out there where people get left in the middle, right? So it's tough. And now I'm at that point that marketing, and not just marketing, you're also thinking about the next book, right? Especially when you have a series. So you have to start writing the other one at the same time you're marketing your existing books, right? So I'm trying different things. This is my first podcast, so thank you for this opportunity. But yeah, I'm just trying different things and see what works for me in terms of getting my book out there.
Yeah. You brought up a good point about people not seeing all the work that goes into something. I remember a conversation I had with a school principal many, many years ago. She called me up. I do educational magic shows at schools around the country.
Oh, nice.
And yes, it was before the pandemic, and we could do them. It was wonderful. But this one particular principal called me up, and she said, we're a poor school. We're in this area, and how much would you charge? And I gave her my absolute best discounted price in the world. I was going to lose money traveling to her to do it. And she turned around and she said, "You charge me that much money to come in and talk to my kids for an hour?" And I'm like,
I know, yeah.
No. It's a day to travel to you and a day to go home, and it's, the marketing I have to do and the learning and all the props and this and that. And yeah, people just don't get it.
Yeah, until you do it, you don't realize it. I think we we all do that at some point. But being a business owner, I guess you can say, right? You do realize then that it's not that easy, or there is a reason behind the price points that people give you. So yeah, it is a lot.
Yep.
But it's fun.
Yep.
I enjoy it.
There's a lot more to the iceberg underneath the water than what you see above the water.
Yeah.
Well, I know people are going to want to know where they can go to find out more about Our Family Vacation and find out more about you.
Sure. So the book is on Amazon, so you can search Our Family Vacation on there. And the best way to know about me and my upcoming books is through Instagram. So my Instagram name is Little Kids Big Lessons. It's one word. There's nothing in between. Those are the best two places. My Instagram will point people to other sites, like my website or things like that. But that's the best point.
Awesome. We've had a really fun time speaking to the author of Our Family Vacation, a brand new rhyming picture book, the first in a new series from our guest, KB. Hey, Kate, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much.
Please be sure to join us for the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We'll be traveling back to the homeschool convention, the Florida Homeschool Convention that took place in Orlando, Florida in June. We were part of that magnificent event, and we met many authors, and we're going to feature a number of them. We also met a really cool little dude that you're going to love, and you meet him in the next episode of the podcast. So be sure to tune in for our visit at the Homeschool Convention in Orlando, Florida. Hey, if you're the author of a fantastic children's book, please be sure to visit our website, readingwithyourkids.com. Click on the author's Click Here button at the top of the page to find out how we can help you celebrate your fantastic children's book. You can be a guest here on the podcast. You can submit your book to our Certified Great Read panel. You can also take part in our monthly promotion programs. In July of 2022, we will be part of the upcoming Association of Teacher Educators Convention happening in Nashville, Tennessee. We'll be meeting educators from throughout the United States and around the world, and we would love to introduce those educators to your fantastic children's book. Learn more by going to readingwithyourkids.com, clicking on the author's Click Here button at the top of the page, and scrolling on down. I want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, I want to start by thanking our guests, author KB. Please be sure to check out our family vacation. Also want to thank our sponsors, Mr. Shipman's Kindergarten Chronicles by our dear friend Dr. Terrence Shipman, and Two Bicycles in Beijing, written by our other amazing friend, Teresa Robeson. Also want to thank my team, Fatima Khan, Rory Grady, Nicole Belcastro, Ashley Contreras, Mirabella Q, Rain Pan. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today, and as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.